Hello, and I want to welcome you to the webinar today. My name is Davin Perkins, and I am going to walk you through the process today of getting started on eBay. Now, in order to sell on eBay, we need to be able to receive payments for our transactions. And the way that we receive payments for our transaction is by having a PayPal account. A PayPal account is, think of it as like an online wallet if you're not familiar with it. It allows you to add credit cards to it. It allows you to add bank accounts. And as you receive money, so a customer comes in and buys a rocking horse from you for $200, the money will then transfer to your PayPal account, at which point you could, if you wanted to, get a debit card that pulls money from your PayPal account, or option two is you can deposit that money into your bank account, and it usually takes 1 to 3 days for the money to deposit into your bank account from PayPal. So think of eBay is the marketplace through which you will be able to get sales, and PayPal is how you're going to be able to receive payment for those sales. And PayPal and eBay are integrated pretty well so that a transaction, a customer buys and pays on the eBay site, but then the money goes to the PayPal account. So in order to get a PayPal account created, we are going to need a few things. We're going to need to make up a business name. We do not need to register that with your state. We do not need to get an EIN or anything else like that, but we do need to make up a business name and probably make sure that it is an available business name so that later on, weeks from now, if we decide we want to register that business name with your state, we don't find out, oh shoot, that name has been taken or somebody else registered it for me and I never bothered to check. So I'll teach you how to do that. Now, in addition to that, we're going to need a business email address. We want our finances to be separated from your personal account so that you can have business income coming in, and that will make your life a lot easier when tax time rolls around and your accountant asks you to determine which money was business money and which is personal money. If you're using your personal account for business, it's going to muddy the waters. It's going to make it really hard, and if you get audited, it's going to make your life very difficult indeed. So what I'm going to show you today is how to make up a business name, how to brainstorm and come up with a good one, how to get an email address in place that we can use to go ahead and set up the PayPal account, and how to go from there. So step one, we need to come up with the business name. So option one is we can stare at a blank wall until we come up with a business name, which probably isn't a great idea. Second is we can use a business name generator, and I'm going to show you a couple as a part of the training today. Now, I do want to make sure that everybody is aware who's watching these trainings. We have some students that are in their late teens, early 20s. These are people that have been born with computers and will be able to do all the technical things I'm going to teach you about today pretty quickly, but maybe they don't know the strategy or how it comes in terms of marketing and how we get results out of what we're doing. And then we have other students that are retiring or people that haven't had to be around their computers their entire lives. And so I'm going to focus on a lot of technical strategies as we move forward, as well as overall kind of big picture type stuff. So if you are somebody who knows the technical stuff, the information you'll get from this training will still be useful, but maybe you're not going to go through it as slowly as somebody else. So one thing that may be useful for those who are going to be following all these steps, it's not a bad idea to just watch 1 or 2 minutes of this training and then pause the training and then do exactly as what's taught, and then watch a minute or two more and then pause and do what's taught. Now, one thing that's going to facilitate this is the ability to open up multiple tabs on your internet browser. So if you've already downloaded Google Chrome and you've got Google Chrome on your computer open, and the way that you can know that you have Google Chrome open is it'll look like this. This is Google Chrome right here. This is the Google search engine on Google Chrome, and there's going to be a button in the upper right hand corner with 3 dots on it, and if you click on that, the menu is going to look like this pretty much. You won't see these icons at the top. It'll say new tab, new window, new incognito window, history, downloads, and so on. If it doesn't look more or less like this, then you're probably using a different internet browser like Microsoft Edge or Internet Explorer or Safari or Firefox or one of the other ones that are out there, but do try to make sure that you are open in Google Chrome. And the Google Chrome icon looks like this. I know this is pretty small in the footer here, but this little red, green, yellow, and blue icon is the Chrome logo. And so make sure, let me Google it, Google Chrome logo. So when you're opening up your internet browser, you want to be clicking on an icon that looks like any of these, right? This is a Google Chrome logo, or at least what it is currently. And that brings up another good point. I try to re-record these lessons every so often as things change, like Google changes, eBay changes, PayPal changes. And so as those changes happen, I re-record new lessons to make sure that the instructions are as step-by-step as possible. But if you do notice minor changes or differences between what I'm demonstrating and what you actually see on your computer, there's a very good chance it's because Google updated how their website looks, or PayPal updated the order in which the form is filled out. So as long as things look more or less similar, you're probably okay. If it looks drastically different, then you may have taken a wrong turn, but just be aware of that as you move forward. So now that we've taken care of those business items, let's get into choosing a business name. So I'm going to introduce you to a site that I developed by the name of eMentorTools.com, eMentorTools.com. Now, when you get to the eMentor tool site, it's going to look a little something like this. Again, this may change as I update and add things to it. It's a fairly young site, but if you come up here to the top where it says legal, you're going to see name generator 1 and name generator 2. These are two name generators that I've used in the past that I think are useful. So let's go ahead and jump into name generator 1, and we're going to use this to come up with a business name. So the way that this tool works is all we need to do is just come right down here to this page and look at this list as given. So ICE Intelligence, Core Comms, Honeydew Limited, the list goes on and on. If you click this Get Company Name button, it will come up with a new list of names. Now, the reason I like this tool is because it is stupidly simple to use. It does give you some basic instructions for how this works. So the tool generates a list of 10 random names for your company. And then all you need to do a lot of times is just add a word onto the beginning or end that makes it unique. So for example, you could take Hatch Productions, and that would be perfectly fine, but you could also alter that and say, I want to do not Hatch Productions, but I want to do Hatch Worldwide, or I want to do Hatch Enterprises or Hatch Limited. Now the word Hatch is kind of a common one. So if you were to do Hatch Productions, for example, if you live in a state that's decently populated, there's a chance that somebody in your state has already registered it. Now, you're only really concerned with registering a business name that hasn't been registered in your state or province before, depending on if you live in the US or Canada or department or whatever the case may be for whatever your divisions of government are called. In the US, of course, it's states, but the more unique it is, the more likely it's going to be that that business name will be available. Now, keep in mind, this is a legal business name. This is not what your customers are going to know you by. At some point later on down the road, if we set up a website selling rocking horses, we might register a domain name, which is like your .com that your customers would know you by. If you were selling rocking horses, you might do like bestrockinghorses.com. Now, your legal business name may be Flowertainment Limited, but your customers won't know you by that. They're going to know you by the brand name of your site. And the reason this is useful is because you may want to set up multiple sites around that same business. So if you want to set up 10 different websites, one selling fireplace screens, one selling rocking horses, one selling touch lamps, you don't want to lock yourself into a legal business name that limits what type of product you can promote. So for example, if I set up a business name of Davin's Toys Ventures, then I'm kind of limited to toys. But if you do something like I can't even read some of these words. But if you do something generic like Drift Space Ventures, then Drift Space doesn't mean anything. So you could sell rocking horses under that, and it would make equal sense as you selling bananas under that. So just something generic, something that is not going to pigeonhole you, something that is going to be unique, and that's what this tool does fantastically. So anyway, so tack enterprise or enterprises onto the end of it. Worldwide, marketing, ventures, these are all common business words that you can just throw onto the end of it just to make it a little bit more unique, to increase the likelihood that it will be available. And then feel free to come back and click Get Company Names as many times as you want until you find one that you love. And then once you find one that you feel really good about, then we can move into the next step of checking to make sure it's available with your state and getting an email address in place that we'll use for it. And then once we have the business name, we've got the email address, we've got the PayPal account created. Then we're going to jump in and we're going to create the eBay account, and then we're going to attach it to PayPal, and that's what we're going to cover in the next training after this one. So let me go ahead and show you the other business name generator tool. This one, you're just going to go back to ementortools.com, and you're going to go down to Name Generator 2. Pretty simple. That's going to open up a new tab, and then from there, you get the business name generator. Don't be fooled if you see a big Get Start Now button. This is an advertisement. You're going to be clicking on this business name. And this one works pretty similarly. It's just going to generate random names by mixing words together. Running Vim Industries, Planet Rain Works, Mastermind Inc. And then feel free to take anything you like and customize it further. So yeah, you could do Blue Limelight Technologies. You could also do Yellow Limelight Technologies, right? The key is we're looking for something unique. Chalkboard International, Tablet Services, Ruffle Factory, City Slickers Works, so City Slickers Worldwide, Grok, I don't know what that is, Salute Inc., Photocross, you get the idea. So once you have come up with your name, and let me work on coming up with a name. I saw Wildfire, New Beach, Live Moco Industries, AHA Global, Key Grip Services, Oxygen Inc., Water Baby Factory, love it, Water Baby Factory Ventures. I don't know what a Water Baby Factory is, but it seems interesting. So it's generic. My customers aren't going to know me by it. We may set up an eBay account using this name initially, but that doesn't mean we're going to be tied to it forevermore. We can come back and change any of these things at a later date if we want. And I guess I changed my mind. I don't want to do Water Baby Factory. Oh, Typhoon Inc. Okay. So that might be a good one, but Typhoon is a real word. It could be common enough that somebody else has registered it in my state, but maybe not. Depends on how popular a word like typhoon might be. But let's try on Typhoon and let's see what happens. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to say Typhoon Ventures, and we'll see if it's available. So I happen to live in the great state of Utah. So if you type in your state or department name and then follow it up by the keyword phrase business name search or business entity search or something like that, you're usually going to be brought to a search portal within your state site where you're going to be able to see if a business name is available. So I'm going to do just that, and you'll notice that any state website, or with very few exceptions, are going to be .gov domain names. .gov domain names are important because not just anybody can register a .gov. You have to have special government permission basically to register a .gov. So why this is important is because if you see a .org or you see a .com or a .net, these are all domain names that any monkey could go and register, and they could throw up a website which looks like an official government site that tries to sell you a business name package. And when you buy their $300 business name package, they'll do a search, they'll register it for you, but what they don't tell you is that you probably could have done that all for very free or for without any kind of a cost, or with a fairly low cost. And so make sure that when you're visiting that you are in a .gov site. Now there are a couple of exceptions to this. Some state websites, for some inexplicable reason, are not on a .gov domain. And so just do your research, make sure you know what your state website is on, and make sure that when you do your business name search, you're actually on your state's website and not a third-party entity. So I'm going to click on this one, secure.utah.gov.bes, and then from there I can type in my business name that I'm going to do. So I'm going to say Typhoon Ventures, and I'm going to click search. The business name Typhoon Ventures appears to be available. Fantastic. So my next step that I want to take is I'm going to take the word ventures off the end of it, and I'm going to see what other business names are out there that have Typhoon in there, because there's a chance that if there's a Typhoon Venture, for example, or Typhoon Vent, that when I try to register that business with the state, my state may come back and say, no, that's too similar to something that's already registered. We don't want you to try to knock off or create a knockoff business off of this other one that exists. So the more unique it is, the better off you end up being. So I'm going to just type in Typhoon and hit search and see what business names are in the state of Utah with the word Typhoon in it. I'm fortunate because it looks like the word Typhoon is only in six existing businesses: Typhoon Bay, Typhoon Cleaning Service, Typhoon Data LC, Typhoon Enterprises LC, Typhoon Real Estate, Typhoon Trailer. So I don't see anything that's going to cause me any problems with Typhoon Ventures, especially because this one has expired, so it's not even registered anymore. So is this one, so is this one. The only two that are active are these ones, Typhoon Data LC and then Typhoon Real Estate LLC. So as a result, I'm good to go. Now let's pretend like I didn't live in Utah. Let's pretend like I lived in Colorado. So let's do Colorado business name search. And by the way, if I'm ever talking too fast, that's a natural thing that I do, and I apologize for it. In the bottom right-hand corner of the video you're watching right now, there's going to be an icon that you can click on, and it will come up with a little menu of options, and one of those options will be to slow me down. So if I'm talking too fast, you can kick me down to 0.5 speed so that I'm going through this material a lot more slowly and a lot more deliberately, or at least it'll appear that way if you're watching it in slow-mo. But you'll still get the same information. Or if 0.5 is too slow, you could do it at 0.75 so that it's just reducing me by about 25%, and that would be fine. Also, feel free to pause. You can click anywhere on the video to pause what I'm teaching you about right now. You can fast forward by clicking on the little bar at the bottom that's red, that's crawling across right now at the bottom of the page down in this arena. And that way, you can set it back a minute if you miss something or anything else, and that applies to all the future trainings you'll be going through with us. All right, so here we are doing a Colorado business name search. So here we have a domain name that is sos.state.co.us. So this doesn't look like an official business name, and so that makes me wonder. And then we've got a startbusiness.org/co. That doesn't look great either. So it could well be so that this one is sos.state.co.us. Wow, that is quite a business name. Let's search for the Colorado website. Colorado. Okay, colorado.gov. Okay, so that looks to be their regular site. Okay, so Colorado. Let's try it, business name search. And now these are usually operated by the Secretary of State, so you can usually do SOS or Secretary of State and have it show up that way. Another way you can vet this is you can click on the site and just make sure that they're not trying to charge you anything to do a business name search, and you might be okay. This just looks like a poorly done website, to be perfectly honest. It does have a logo, and it looks not great, but we should be able to do a search on this. Now, if it was a big flashy page that's trying to sell me on a business package for $99 to do a business name search, that would be a big red flag. So evidently, this sos.state.co.us is a business name search site for those of you in Colorado. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to type in Typhoon. And we're going to search that again, just like we did before. Now, we really want to do Typhoon Ventures, but I want to see how many names there are in Colorado with Typhoon in them. Okay, so there's 22 in there. And we just want to make sure that there's none that say Venture or Ventures or that are too close to what we're doing. Now, it says that there are 22 matching records and that we're viewing page 1 of 2. And then we can click to page 2 right here. I'm going to do a Control F for the word Ventures. Okay, bad. Okay, so this isn't even the business name, but here we have the names. Typhoon Relief Fund, Typhoon Bay is registered there as well. Let's see, Typhoon Electronics, Typhoon Electronics, Typhoon LLC, Typhoon Resources. So nothing really close, so I'd probably be safe with Typhoon Ventures in the state of Colorado as well. Now, what about a high population state? So let's get out of here, and let's open up a new tab again, and this time we're going to go to Florida. Florida Business Name Search. All right, search by entity. We've got sunbiz.org. So this naturally makes me nervous because it's .org and anyone could register that. So let's go ahead and click on it and let's see if it takes us to a site. Okay, pretty ugly, simple site. Division of Corporations and official state of Florida website. Now, if you're ever not sure, another thing you can do is you can contact your Secretary of State. You can call them or you can email them and say, hey, I'm visiting this website. Is this your site, or is this a site that is actually owned by the state? But again, the fact that they're not asking me for money, the fact that it's not a shiny website that wants $200 is probably a good sign. So let's try Typhoon, Typhoon. We'll hit search, and we don't have a ton. Typhoon Inc., Typhoon Corporations, Typhoon Bay, Typhoon Enterprises. Now, here's something that's interesting. They allowed two different businesses registered domain names that are incredibly similar, one with an S and one without an S. In a lot of states, they would have turned that down. And so who knows, maybe the person that was in charge of it that day just didn't care that much. Maybe their boyfriend dumped them. Or maybe the state of Florida doesn't really care that much if it's a similar name. Because I find that the bigger a state is, the more lenient they are, because they realize there's a lot more people registering businesses. In smaller states, if it's even somewhat similar, like I registered a business in Utah not too long ago, and Utah only has a few million residents. Only the first word was the same, and the second word was completely different from anybody else, but they said it was too similar for that one. But even that's pretty, that's an exception of the rule, even for Utah. That wouldn't happen most of the time. But I don't see any of the other ones in there. It looks like it says next list, so I'm not sure if that's page 2 or what that's supposed to be, but let's click on it and see what it does. Okay, it looks like there is a page 2. And for some reason, it doesn't tell you how many pages there are, but we get Typhoon Marketing, Typhoon Properties, Typhoon Prop R Temp Corp of Florida. Okay, and then from there we get out of the word typhoon and into other words like typical. And so it looks like it has just taken us to like an alphabetical list. So interesting. All right, so I'd probably be okay with Typhoon Ventures even here, even in Florida. So once you have found a name that's available, you don't need to register it. We've got plenty of time to do that later on. We just want to get started with the things that are actually going to put money in our pocket. And the things that are going to make us money are creating the PayPal account, creating the eBay account, and going from there. All right, so now that you know the process for how to check to see if a business name is available and you know how to brainstorm a business name, now let's go ahead and register an email address. I would recommend setting up a Gmail account. This is a Google email account. You can find it by going to gmail.com, or you can just go to the homepage of Google and click Gmail. And either way, it's going to bring you to a page that's going to look like this. Oh, it looks like it wants me to sign into an account. So let's pretend like I'm not signing into an account. So I'm going to remove these accounts that are in here. I'm going to hit Remove Account, click out of that, and let's get rid of that. All right, so now let's go back and let's try this fresh. So let's go to Google. We're going to click on Gmail again. You could also do gmail.com, and it would bring you to the same page. So now it's bringing me to a sign-in page. And what you would do here is you would just click Create Account. Now, if it tried to take you into an existing Gmail account that you already have, you would just need to go to the upper right-hand corner, and there would be a little icon of your name in it, with your picture in it, or with one of your initials in it, like your first or last initial. And when you clicked on that, a menu would come down, and then you would get the option to sign out of that account. So I'll give you an example of what this might look like. So this is a, oh, you know what, let's do this. Okay, so here is the right-hand panel of an email account I have. It has my picture up here in the upper right, and when I click on that, it gives me all of the other email addresses I have access to, and then I get an option to add account or sign out. I would just click sign out of all my accounts. And what's nice about this is it allows you to toggle between different accounts, so you can be signed in concurrently to multiple accounts. That's another reason I like Gmail, is it makes it really easy to run multiple businesses without any kind of issues. So now I'm going to go ahead and click Create Account. I'm going to put in my name. I'm going to put in my last name. I'm going to put in my username, which is going to be the name of my business, Typhoon Ventures. All right, and then from there, I'm going to put in a password. And make sure that you write this down so that you don't forget, so you don't get locked out of your own account. And then from there, go ahead and hit Next. Now, if you create accounts every single day, you'll get an option to verify your information. here it says that the phone number is optional, so I'm not going to put anything else in there. You can pop in a recovery email address so that if you ever forget the password, it can email your first email account and allow you to reset it that way. From there, you're going to put in your birthday. I would not recommend putting in a real birthday because why does Google need to know my birthday in order to give me an account? So it also doesn't need to know my gender, so I would rather not say. Okay, you can put the gender in if you want to. Then from there, you're going to go ahead and hit next. And I set up email accounts all the time, so normally it will ask me to verify my phone number at this stage. Fortunately, it's not. It's just asking me to agree to the terms and conditions. But sometimes it might ask you to, send a text to make sure that you are a real person or something like that. So now I'm going to go ahead and hit agree. And now my account in Gmail has been, drum roll please. All right, well, it's going to create the account. We'll move on and talk about what's next after this. So now that you know how to get the business name created, you know how to create the email address, now what we need to do is get the PayPal account in place and get that all done. All right, so it does give you like a little tour, but now we don't need to do anything else in this email account. Now we are going to open up another tab, and we can close out some of these other ones. We can get rid of the eMentor Tools page and all these ones. And in the new tab that I'm going to open up, I'm going to go to paypal.com, PayPal. And then I'm going to hit enter. Now, once I am on the PayPal site, it's going to give me a couple of options. Typically, there's going to be a sign-up button that's going to look just like this in the upper right-hand corner. If you already have a PayPal account, it may log you in. And if you are logged in, you'll just need to log out so that you can follow these steps. But I'm going to go ahead and click Sign Up. Now from there, it's going to ask me if I want to do a personal account or a business account. We actually want to do a business account. It's not going to cost a penny to do, and it's going to give you more credibility, and it's going to allow you to do more things on your account with eBay, and it's going to be really useful. So from there, once we've selected business account, we will click Next. After we have clicked Next, it's going to ask me to put in my email address. Well, hey, guess what? I just created an email address that I can use right here, Typhoon, Typhoon Ventures.com. Now, in recording these lessons in the past, I have made this mistake. And by the way, it's not typhoonventures.com. It's going to be typhoonventures@gmail.com because this is a Gmail address. You want to double, triple, quadruple check the spelling on this email address, because if you register this with the wrong email address, like let's say you accidentally register Typhoon Venture, but your real email account is Typhoon Ventures, it's going to cause a lot of headaches. I know this because I've gone through those headaches in the past. So in order to verify that these are an exact match, go back to your Gmail account, click on the icon in the upper right, and it's going to show you. Let's make this bigger for you. It's going to show you what the email address is, typhoonventures.com. And just make sure that you have it identical to what's in your email account without the slightest variation. I can't stress this enough. I have way too many students that make this mistake, and I'm not excluded from that mistake either, so I know it happens, and that's okay. So, but just double check, triple check, and you should be okay. It's not case sensitive though, so it doesn't matter if it's uppercase or lowercase, but just make sure that the spelling is spot on. So let's grab that. And then there we see that same menu where you can add multiple accounts or you can sign out of the existing account just right there. All right, so let's go ahead, put that in there. We'll hit continue. Now it's going to ask me to create a password. So create a password, write it down, record it, make sure you know what it is. Don't forget your password, ideally. That'll make your life a lot easier if you don't forget it. So I only say it because it happens too often. So there, I'll hit continue. Now it's asking me to put in my business information. So business information, I'm going to go ahead and punch that in. Typhoon Ventures. Oh, it's asking me for my personal information. Sorry, this is my business contact info. My apologies. So Davin Perkins. Then from there, it's going to ask me for my business name, Typhoon Ventures. So we'll go ahead and pop that right in there. Then from there, it's going to ask me for my business phone number. So this is where I'm just going to put in my own phone number. And then once I put in my phone number, it will ask me to put in a business address. Business address is just your good old-fashioned regular home address. So I'll put that in. Okay, so I'm putting in that address. So we've got the business address in there, put in our city. And if you do have a real business address, obviously, you're welcome to put that in there as well. That's not going to be an issue. So we're going to put in the state as being Utah, if we can get it to show up. There we go. Utah, and then our zip code. Okay, and then we have filled out everything correctly: legal name, business name, phone number. We're going to tick that box to say that we have read and agreed the terms, and then we're going to go ahead and click agree and create account. All right, from there, it's going to ask us to put in our business type. This is going to be easy. We're going to specify an individual. We haven't registered a legal business yet. Now, some of you may be asking, can I legally run a business under a business name without registering it first? And the answer is absolutely. It's what's known as a DBA. When it asks us for our business number, we're going to put in our social security number. And then later on, once we actually register, let's say an LLC or a corporation later on down the road, or we set up a sole proprietorship or an officially registered DBA with your state, then at that point we can update it with a real tax number. Again, all of these things are malleable. We can change these inside of PayPal. We're not locking ourselves in for life on the decisions we're making right now. These are just first steps so we can start generating some sales, and then we can update everything as we move along. All right, next it's going to ask us to put in the product or services that we are going to be selling. Well, we're going to sell everything. We're going to sell anything that's profitable. So we're going to just say general merchandise. So let's go ahead and select that, miscellaneous general merchandise. And then on estimate your monthly sales, we're going to make this number as big as we can. Okay, maybe as big as we can within reason. We're going to say that we're going to do $50,000 to $100,000 a month. Now the reason for this is eBay and PayPal are going to talk to one another. And if we put super low numbers initially in, then what's going to end up happening is they're going to give us low limits on our account, and we're not going to be able to list as much stuff. And if we can't list as much stuff, we can't make as much money. So we want to put a pretty big number in here. I mean, we could say that we're going to do more than $1 million a month in sales, but I don't think anyone's going to believe that. But 50 to 100, that's probably a good starting point. Now, next, it's going to ask us for a business URL or URL. This is the domain name. This is what would be like your .com. Now, I haven't taught you to register a .com. I don't want you to register a .com in the name of your legal business because that's not what your customers are going to know you by. So you're going to leave that blank, and then you're going to hit continue. Now, once you've hit continue, it's going to ask you to pop in the last 4 of your social security number, your date of birth. It's going to ask you for your home address and all that information. So you're going to go ahead and put that in. Now, we lied for Gmail because Gmail doesn't need to know that information. However, PayPal is going to use this to verify our identity to make sure that we are who we say we are. But if you were registering as not an individual, so if we came back here and we were registering as a corporation, you'll notice that it asks us for an employee identification number right here on this page. Now, if you would like, you can obtain an employer identification number without registering the corporation with your state, but just we will, when we do register with the state, we will register as a corporation or as an LLC in order to do this. I'm not going to do it for the sake of this training, but if you don't want to give PayPal your social security number, you can get an EIN, and we're going down the rabbit hole a little bit, but if you go to the irs.gov website, so just go to irs.gov, you'll see right here there's a link that says employer ID number. And there's a link to apply for an EIN online. Now, the actual process for obtaining an EIN is actually really easy. It will ask you for your business name, and then it's going to ask you a bunch of absurd questions like, are you planning on selling tobacco? Are you planning on selling alcohol? Are you planning on driving a truck that weighs over 55,000 pounds? You're going to answer no to just about everything, but I'll take you through the initial steps so you can get an idea for it. I'm not going to be able to get through the entire application. Well, any of it really, because one of the paradoxical and strange things about the IRS website is it shuts down at night, which is quite a bit of effort to do, to turn off your site at night and then turn it back on in the morning. I don't know why they do that, considering you don't need employees to do it. But once you were to click on this page, you'd be able to fill out a form, answer all those questions, and at the end of the application process, you're immediately given the option where you can print off or save a document on your computer that has your EIN, or you can have it mailed to you. I would not recommend having it mailed to you because I've asked them to mail me one before because I wasn't in a place where I could save it onto my computer or print it, and it never came. So then I had to contact the IRS. I was on the phone on hold for 2 hours, and then finally I got a hold of somebody and they said, all right, we're going to mail you out a new form. It's different from the regular form that you need, but it'll work. So it was like a Band-Aid fix, but that's all they can do if you don't get it. So just if you do get an EIN at this stage in the process, and that's completely fine to do, make sure that you're in a position where you can print it out right away or that you can save it onto your computer so that there's no risk that you'll end up losing it. So just make sure that that's the case. At the end of it, it's called an SS4 form. That's what the EIN is printed on. That's the document you'll want to save, and that will be useful for putting it right in here. So I can put in an EIN. I have an EIN from other businesses that I've done. So just for fun, I'll pop that in and I'll show you what that looks like. Okay, well, I put in my EIN and I hit continue, and it brought me to the next page, and it still asked me for the last 4 of my social, so I guess you can't escape it anymore. It used to be if you put in an EIN, they didn't ask for a social, but I guess they want that now. So anyway, so you'll put in the last 4, you'll put in your birthday, and then once that's confirmed, you're going to be brought to a page that's going to look like this. This is the page that we need to confirm everything to make sure that PayPal knows that we are legitimate. The first thing they want to do is they want to confirm our our email address. So if you click that, you're going to get an option that will say, hey, confirm your email address. Click the link in the email we sent to you at typhoonventures@gmail.com. Now, if you want to, you can go to Gmail, but that's just going to take you out of PayPal and into Gmail. So I'm going to click on the tab I have up there at the top with Gmail in it, and there we have 2 email addresses. Set up your PayPal business account and then confirm your email address. So I'm going to click on that. And this email can take a few minutes sometimes, especially if you've got like a Yahoo email address. It takes like 5 or 10 minutes to get through to Yahoo sometimes. Gmail is probably the quickest, which is another reason why I like it. Quick and free, that's my favorite. So we're going to go ahead and click confirm your email. And then once we've clicked on that, it's going to ask me to put in my password. So I'll pop that in there, hit confirm email. Hopefully I put in my password correct. And there we go. Now we get a cute little green check mark next to that the email account, so we know that that has been confirmed. Now, there are functions in your PayPal account that will not work until you've confirmed your email, so make it a priority to get that done. If you see that email, it may wind up in your junk folder or your spam folder. So if you come to your Gmail box, that email doesn't pop through for whatever reason, come over here to the left-hand side. There's going to be a more option down there, and when you click on that, once there is any spam in there, a little spam option will pop up, or junk. Okay, it looks like I need to slide this down more to see it. Okay, so there we see our spam folder. And it looks like it was there all along. I just need to just scroll down on it to see it. And you'd be able to click and see if it wasn't spam, mark it as not spam, or open it, and then click that confirmation link. Now, once your email account is confirmed, you need to confirm your business identity. So let's go ahead and click on that. All right, so it's asking me for my legal business name. It's asking me for my employer identification number. If you can do this, great. If not, then don't worry about it. But we'll go ahead and put that in there, and then we'll hit submit, and we'll see if this works. There might be a mismatch because one's a business address and the other is tied to a home address. Okay, and it's asking me to upload my business documents. Okay. So it wants me to confirm it that way. So if you're brought to this page and it asks you for this information, just provide them with everything that they ask for. If you've got it, if not, then you can just leave it as undone and hit I'll do it later and then do everything else. You can come back in a few weeks and do that portion of it if we need to. All right, so next we need to link our bank account, and we can also make our business name clear for customers. This doesn't matter as much, but if you wanted to, you could just set it as something like that. It's automatically going to populate, and then just hit confirm business name. And then you get a cute little check mark next to your name, and you feel like you've accomplished something. So that feels nice. So now linking your business bank account is probably the most important thing, because this is how you're going to receive payment on transactions. And if you don't link your bank account, you're not going to be able to get your money out of PayPal, and that's not ideal. If you want to be able to access your funds with a debit card, you can click on this link and apply to get a business debit card, and that's fine to do. I'm not going to do it. It's not a necessary part of the steps. The absolutely necessary parts are confirming your email, confirming your business name, And if you've put in an EIN, try to confirm your business identity, but if not, don't worry about it. I think the only reason this is showing up for me is because I put that EIN in there, and most of you probably will not do that. So that'll save you some energy. So I'm going to click link your bank account. And from there, I'm going to be brought to a page where it's going to give me two core options where I can connect my bank account to PayPal. I can either select my bank from this list, or I can click this option that says I have a different bank. So if you have one of these, obviously click it, and then what will happen is it will prompt you to sign in to your bank account with your username and password, and then once your bank has had the opportunity to do a handshake with PayPal to confirm that it really is your account, then we can start making deposits whenever sales come through to that. Now, my bank is not in this list. My bank is a credit union that's here local, and so I'm going to click on that link, and then from there it's going to ask me if it's going to ask me to put in a routing number and an account number. The bank I bank with is a bank called UCCU. It's a community, Utah Community Credit Union. So if I Google UCCU routing number, the routing number is just a generic number assigned to specific banks. Every bank has basically one routing number, unless it's a really big bank with locations in many states. But for me, it's just one routing number, so I'm going to go ahead and pop that in there. Where were we? All right, so I'm going to put in my routing number, and then from there, it's going to ask me to put in the account number that it ties to. So let's go ahead and pop that in there, and then next I'll need to specify whether this is a business or personal account. Now with your bank account, I'm okay with it being a personal one for the time being. It does not need to be a business account. The reason it doesn't need to be a business account is because business accounts will require you to bring in business documentation to prove that you're a real business, and you probably don't have any of that yet because we haven't even gotten started. So I'll have you do a personal account initially, and then once we're seeing some sales coming in, we'll swap it over to a business account. We'll get a formal one set up. But for right now, just do the personal. It's going to be way easier. It'll help you get started faster, help you to get money coming in more quickly, rather than having to wait 3 weeks for your business name to be okayed by the state and for you to have the proper documentation, and then another 2 weeks of back and forth with your bank before you finally can create the account. Ideally, we want to make money before 2 months from now. So I'm going to go ahead and select personal, and then I'm going to pop in my my email address, or excuse me, my bank account information, and I'm going to pause it while I'm doing that, and then I will go ahead and hit agree and link once I've got that information in there. Okay, all right, now it's going to bring me to this page after I've done that, and it'll say your Utah Community Credit Union, blah, 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 is linked, and then it's going to do 2 small deposits into my account within the next day or 2. So what I would do is I would log into my bank, and I would check for 2 small deposits from PayPal. One's probably like going to be 7 cents and another one's going to be 15 cents. And then what I'm going to do is once I see what those deposit amounts are, I'm going to come back here. I'm going to enter those deposit numbers in here, and then that's going to link it up. The reason for this, of course, is because PayPal needs to make sure that if they're going to be sending lots of money to this account, that it's really yours. Because if they accidentally send money to your neighbor's PayPal account because you put 1 digit in there wrong, then there's no real way to get that money back other than beg your neighbor for that money back. But the problem is that bank account that's 1 digit off, we don't know whose it is, and there's no real way to find out. The bank isn't going to disclose that information to us. And so the money is just gone forever, essentially. So that's why they want to know what those deposit amounts are. And then after they have deposited those amounts, they'll withdraw those from your funds. So they'll end up depositing 45 cents, and then 2 days later they take the 45 cents back. No big deal. But then you hit OK, and then at that point you would put that information in there. So in order to get back to this page, because realistically you're going to leave PayPal and you're going to come back in a couple of days to finish up this process. Now that said, you can go ahead at this point, once you're to this point, you verified your email address, you verified your bank account, or at least started the process. Now you can move into the next training, which will teach you how to create your first listing on eBay, and you can go ahead and start doing that, and then a day or 2 from now, you can circle back and finish this. So it's not imperative that you finish this part of the process before you get the PayPal or the eBay account going and getting your first item listed. So you can go ahead and start moving into the next training of getting your eBay account in place even before this is all done. Okay, and that is all there is to it. In the beginning of the next training, the very first thing I'm going to do in there is show you the confirmation steps for how to confirm your PayPal account once those deposits have been made. And then at that point, I'll roll right on into the eBay account creation process. So thanks for attending. We look forward to having you in on the next one.